Good morning, children. Welcome to history session of K-Tech High School and Junior College. Today in our history session, children, we will be studying chapter number 3, Applied History. And so far, children, we have studied about historiography and various ideologies by various historians. Today, we will see how history can be applied or used in present days. So, please, children, open your textbook to page number 15, chapter number 3, Applied History. Let's get started, children. What do you know about applied history? Applied history is public history. You can tell that because it is open to all people to study. A lot of people have misconception that history is only meant for people who want to pursue about history. In this lesson, we will see how history is used by common people and how we can apply history in our daily lives. Applied history is a field of study concerned with application of history for the benefits of people in contemporary, that is present times or future times. How it is beneficial to have knowledge of the past. We all know that we have to go ahead in our times. If we are facing various problems, we have to look back into the past and see what these problems are, what caused those problems, and also if we are still facing in present, what are the various steps we need to take in order to make sure that we don't face these problems again in future. Knowledge of history is useful as it can provide guidance in finding solution in contemporary, that is the present social issues, and use them in social planning. So when we are planning for a society, various steps, various bills, or maybe certain resolutions that government has passed for the welfare of the people has to be done based on the previous knowledge. What happened in past? Did people suffer because of certain bills and rights that was given out to people? If yes, then what changes are needed to be made so that in future the country do not suffer? Knowledge of history is essential for this purpose. The projects and the programs related to applied history can create opportunities for people to participate along with technical experts. You know that when we study about history, the need of an expert is felt. Why? Because the one who can learn how to manage certain documents, if it has to be given into the hands of common man, maybe he will destroy the documents which are very ancient. So a person who is expert in this field can help us to give us more knowledge as to how to preserve various historical monuments, structures, so that it can be useful even for the future. Their participation in the capacity of tourists visiting museum and ancient site is also important. If we want to know more about past, we go to various institutions, that is museum, right, where there are many ancient things. When we get to know and see the ancient heritage culture that we have, tourism creates interest among people. Whenever you go to different country or if you are going to different part of the country, we get to see various historical monuments like forts or palaces of ancient kings. Why do we do this? so that we get to learn more about what happened in the past, whether the king was good, what was his administration, were the people happy under the king. They can volunteer to participate in conservation and preservation projects of their own city or town or a village. So, if in case in a particular town or a city, we do find that there are historical monuments present, what is the job or a duty of the people towards monument? We know that in Pune we have Saniwar Wada fort. Yes, children, it is historical site and how people have learned to conserve and protect it. So, very important it is to protect and conserve our heritage. We, as a citizen of the country, also play our role in preservation and conservation of historical values. Now, children, there is little box given on the page number 15. It is an interesting to know. We have already done what is public history. We are just going to read it. People have lot of misgivings about practicality of the knowledge of history. For example, history is usually thought to be as a field of interest only for historians and students wishing to pursue higher studies in the subject, not pertaining to the practical life. History as a field of knowledge does not have any applicability to economical productivity and the field. Economical productive field means earnings. So some find it useless. But children, public history help us to overcome such misgivings and makes history meaningful in everyday life, connecting the people to the history. There are many universities abroad where various courses in public histories are offered. Shrishti Institute of Art, Design and Technologies is an institute of at Bangalore, Karnataka. This institute has an independent department named Center for Public History. This department has taken up various projects and research in the field of public history. Now, children, did you all understand how history is very important? You some may feel it's not productive, you cannot earn bread and butter, but still learning history is very important. It helps you to overcome certain problems that we faced in past. Now children, let's move on to the next topic. Applied history and research in various fields. History is a study of past events. We already know why do we study history. We do so to study what happened in past, the way our present lifestyle shaped is dependent on history and historical chain of events. We are products of what happened in past, and so whatever wars were fought, whatever battles, conflicts, bills that were signed, we are in the present, or we are facing whatever situation we are in present because of what happened in the past. Historical events relates to various fields like politics, social and religious structure of community, philosophy, technology and science. Whatever has happened in the past, all these fields, we are the product of the past. So whatever happens in science, technology today, we are able to use today, children, smartphones, Wi-Fi, and all those various kinds of abilities that we have today. So it is possible for us only because of what happened in the past. People have learned to create or discover new invention so that men's life become more easy and comfortable. Each of these fields have their own history of building knowledge, direction of future development in every field is dependent on the state of available knowledge. We can move forward in the field of science and technology philosophy only because we can have base present known what happened in the past. If someone has to create for the technology example, we know that cell phones were new development in society. In past, people did not had any means of communication. Children today we have smartphones. We can talk to people anywhere in the world. So over time, how man has evolved from past to present, we need to have previous knowledge. Hence, the method of history can prove to be value in research of various fields. If we need or want to find what happened in past, history becomes a major subject where we can learn what happened in past and what problems we are facing in the present time. And it also helps us how we can solve this problem for our future benefits. Children, we have already learned how history can be used in different fields. Now, the first topic that we will be doing is philosophy. Now, as you all know, we have already studied about philosophy. It is nothing but the ideas and the thoughts of a man. So, history of philosophy helps in understanding the origin of various ideologies, or we can say thinking of man, intellectual tradition giving rise to the ideologies and their historical development. So, over the time, children, man has changed his thinking as well. We learned in the previous lesson how in history man used to think that God was the center of society. But later, people began to challenge this ideology. And what happened was that man became a center. His life, his feelings, his work, all of them became a center. How did this transition take place, children? We will understand this with the help of philosophy. Now, philosophy, children, needs language as a medium of expression. If a man wants to express himself, he has to use language. Only then he will be able to speak, to write, and communicate his feelings to us. Thus, children, in order to understand philosophical expression, knowledge of history, that is, history of language, also proves useful for us to understand more about what these philosophers wanted to convey to us. We have to understand various languages as well. So, now, children, we come to the next topic science. Now, the history of science help us in understanding chronological order of scientific discoveries, invention and theories. Means science has helped us to understand the scientific discoveries and invention. It has made human life very easy. But when we study history of science, everything is given in chronological order, means in a proper sequence. That is, which event took place after what? The inventions as well as theories. Is it also help us to understand cause effect chain that led to discoveries and inventions. So What was the reason that this had to be invented and how it has helped man in his work or to make his life easier? Children, let's see some example. In olden days, there was no electricity. People would light candles and diyas in their house. But then men realized that it was becoming very difficult for them to use candles and diyas. So slowly invention of electricity came into being as well as light bulb. And who was that person who discovered? Thomas Alva Edison. So, all these things, children, tell us about how men had made life of future generation easier. Isn't our life become easier, children? Today we can't do a day without a light. This is because of cause effect relation. It is said that need is a mother of invention, a very well known proverb. That is, if you have a need, which is the mother of invention. If you don't have any need, you don't need to do anything or invent anything. But the minute the need arises in a man, what does he do? He tries to make his life easier. And then he begins to think what are the ways he can do certain things in order to make his life easier. Scientific discoveries, inventions are often the effects of human efforts to fulfill their needs and also curiosity. He always wants to know more and more in order to fulfill his curiosity. He has more and more inventions. But before that, there is also research that takes place. Why do we face certain problems and how we can solve them? These efforts are based on already available scientific knowledge. We have already spoken about this, children, and we need to know about the past to solve the problems in future. So, children, knowledge of history of science helps in understanding the factors that facilitated the scientific discovery, invention, and also its chronology. So, therefore, in order to understand various discoveries, various inventions, we need to have knowledge of history. Thank you, children. See you in the next session.